In a decision issued today, Maine's Secretary of State, Shenna Bellows, citing the 14th Amendment, has disqualified Donald Trump from appearing on the presidential ballot in Maine. The Secretary wrote, "I conclude that the record establishes that Mr. Trump, over the course of several months and culminating on January 6th, 2021, used a false narrative of election fraud to inflame his supporters and direct them to the Capitol to prevent certification of the 2020 election and the peaceful transfer of power. I likewise conclude that Mr. Trump was aware of the likelihood for violence and at least initially supported its use, given he both encouraged it with incendiary rhetoric and took no timely action to stop it." Joining us now, Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows. Thank you very much for joining us tonight, Madam Secretary. Really appreciate it. We just heard Yale historian Professor Blight saying that you got the 14th Amendment exactly right, and he is the highest authority on the 14th Amendment as a historian that I'm aware of. And so he says you got the 14th Amendment exactly right. As you approached this, how did you do your fact finding that you could then apply to the law?
Thank you so much for having me this evening. And I think for your viewers tonight, it's really important to understand Maine and the fact that different states, as a general matter, states have inherent authority over the ballot, and states manage their own elections differently. Different states have different laws regarding ballot access. In Maine, if a candidate is qualified for the ballot, any registered Maine voter may bring a challenge. And then as secretary, I must, in fact, hold an administrative hearing. I'm a hearing officer, not an advocate, to hear both the perspective of the candidate and the challenger. They present evidence, they present witnesses, there's ability to cross-examine the witnesses and contest the evidence. And then my decision is based solely on the record of the hearing, on the exhibits and the witness and testimony presented. So that is how I must make my determination. Maine law requires that I make a determination about access to the ballot and issue that determination within 5 days of the conclusion of the proceeding. So I was duty bound to follow Maine law to ensure that candidates, all the candidates who appear on the primary ballot, are qualified for the office they seek.
I see you relying on the proof that Donald Trump engaged in insurrection is that he took no timely action to stop it. And that is an actual fact of the history that we know. That fact has been established by the January 6th committee and by other investigations of that day. And Donald Trump has never once suggested that he did anything at all during the time when he is accused of doing nothing to stop the insurrection. That seems to me to be a key element of the evidence you had to consider.
My decision is 36 pages. I encourage people to read it on the Maine Secretary of State website. The weight of the evidence, all of the evidence, made clear that Mr. Trump was aware of the tinder laid by a multi-month effort to delegitimize a Democratic election, the election of 2020, and then chose to light a match on January 6th, and then did nothing for a time. The evidence presented demonstrated, and remember, the events of January 6, 2021, and this was borne out by the evidence, were unprecedented and tragic. They were an attack not only upon the Capitol and on the government officials there, members of Congress, former vice president, but also an attack on the rule of law. And the evidence demonstrated that they occurred at the behest of and with the knowledge and support of the outgoing president.
Maine Secretary of State Shenna Bellows, who made history today, thank you very much for joining our discussion tonight.
Thank you.